Yo, how did this finally happen? I can't believe it. My channel has been monetized. And what's unbelievable is that I was literally posting my feature film to YouTube last night. And I think it happened like right at the exact same time. Like I checked and my watch hours were maybe, I think about 16 watch hours away from 4,000 last night. And I woke up this morning to check and it had all this other stuff and I was like, what's going on? Like, where'd my watch hours go? And then I realized it said you are part of the YouTube partner program now. And so, hallelujah, I can't believe it. And you know what? It only took me 5 years. Like literally 5 years. So I wanted to share a little bit of my story with you because, you know, I know a lot of people share their story about how they got monetized and stuff like that. By the way, there's an Amtrak train passing me right now. I'm up here in Rhinebeck, New York, which is one of my favorite places by the Hudson River. And let me let this train pass real quick and just enjoy this for a moment. So, how did this happen? Let the train go a little bit further. It's not a long train. And it's gone. So, I had been on YouTube before I started getting serious about it, which was, I would say, maybe like November of 2019, because I was in the midst of the development of a new play called The Red Plaid Suitcase, and I had just done a reading down in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and I was set to open at the Signature Theater on June 12th of 2020. And I had been working on that play for like a couple of years. I did a reading a couple of months before that in Los Angeles. And man, this was an incredible project. You know, I had a woman named Lisa King, who was a photographer and an artist working on it with me. And we were putting together like this beautiful visual part of the, you know, a live performance. And I had my friend Bill Dotz, an upright bass player who was going to be on stage with me. And we were working out stuff together, and it was going to be the most amazing production I'd ever done, you know, as a solo performer. And pandemic came, shut it down, just killed me. So anyway, while I was in that rehearsal process, I was posting to YouTube. You know, I was putting like just monologues and stuff like that up in the car and just walking in the streets. Yo, Judith loved to pitch. She loved Fred Ruffing and Lefty Gomez, who both pitched for the Bronx Bombers and New York Yankees, who she loved even though she grew up in Brooklyn. Because like I said, Judith liked to be different. You know, they had the Dodgers, pretty serious. So anyway, Judith just knew that one day she would be the first girl to ever play in Yankee Stadium for the Yankees. That when she was old enough, she was going to be that girl to lead the Yankees to the World Series, just like her favorite players like Joe DiMaggio and Lou Gehrig and Bill Dickey. I mean, she was going to be the next Babe Ruth, meaning she would be the best pitcher and the best hitter. She was going to be the one. This was her dream. And so Judith was out in the courtyard pitching fastballs against that brick wall. And it was strike one, strike two, strike three, strike four. I told you she was different. Strike five. I mean, every single pitch right in the middle of one of those squares that you see on the walls of a lot of those old buildings that I'm talking about. She never hit the part of the wall where the cement was, you know, the mortar, the grooves, the part where the red brick squares are connected. How it kind of looks like a checkerboard, because if she hit that part of the wall, it would make the ball bounce away from her. And so she made that ball come directly back to her every single time, right in the middle of the box, the strike zone. She had that Bob Feller kind of control, who was a great pitcher who pitched for the Cleveland Indians back then, or like Satchel Paige, who was a little bit better than Bob Feller, but he wasn't allowed to play in the major leagues back then because he was black, and it was the late 20s and the 1930s, and you know, racism and oppression, and so he had to play in the Negro Leagues, where they had a lot of players who were maybe better than a lot of major league players, like Josh Gibson and Cool Papa Bell and Buck Leonard. And I digress. Sorry. Shit. But maybe that was kind of like poetry, you know, and I am a poet, meaning a metaphor for feeling left out and not included, which is, I'm sure, the way Judith felt a lot of her life, and so that kind of works. Yeah. And the way a lot of those black players felt at that time too, I'm sure. So all of it kind of works. Just preparing for this play, which was, I thought, the greatest thing I'd ever written. You know, like I worked so hard on the script, it was unbelievable. The play was about 2.5 hours long, and it was the second part of a trilogy The first part was a play called Broke Wide Open, and this was the second part. And it was all the stuff based on my search for my biological mother. So anyway, it got shut down. I got really depressed, and I decided to make a movie, adapt a screenplay from that theatrical script. And that's when I started to get more serious about YouTube, because I started to really dive into YouTube to learn how to be a filmmaker, And I started to learn about words like ISO and exposure and white balance and things like that. And I became obsessed, Like, I'm not going to be the person who throws that word around like it's nothing. I literally became completely obsessed with filmmaking and filmmaking channels and the people who ran those channels, who were just incredible, giving out so much information for free, about how to basically learn how to be a filmmaker or a photographer. And I learned everything. I devoured it, And I shot that film on my phone. I had an LG V40, and that phone had all this incredible, video capability where I could manually control everything. And I shot everything in manually focused. I set my ISO and my white balance and everything manually. I couldn't control my aperture, but that was a good thing actually, because I was able to learn about depth of field without having the opportunity to change my aperture settings. And obviously, I didn't have interchangeable lenses. I just had the one lens on the camera. And I didn't squeeze the camera out, squeeze the lens to make it a wide lens or a longer lens. I just left it where it was, which was, I believe, around 27 millimeters. So I learned a lot, to say the least, during that project. And then I got myself Sony A6400 after that, because we got that $1,200 pandemic payment during that time. And I took that money and I bought a A6400, came with the kit lens, and I bought a Sony 35 millimeter f1.8 APS-C lens as well. And literally when I got that camera, I thought the lens or the camera was broken, because I put that 35 millimeter lens on there and I just could not figure it out. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know that the APS-C had that crop mode, and that I had to do the math to figure out that it was really a 52 millimeter, and it was just crazy. So went back in, learned and studied and did the homework, and I read, and I just, I learned. I owe these YouTubers so much for everything that I learned. And so eventually, to make a long story short, I outgrew the A6400, but I shot a ton of videos with that, and that's when I started to make my own YouTube videos. And when I look back on some of them now, they're pretty embarrassing. They're pretty bad, but they're also pretty astoundingly good. There's something about them that showed me that I had a real eye for this. You know what I mean? Like I had a good vision for telling a story off a stage and on a screen. And I'm just, I don't know how that is or why that is, but it's just something that I naturally had inside of me. So, I did a lot of studying, I did a lot of following. I wound up getting a Panasonic S5, and, the rest of it is, you could see it. I did this thing called Stories in 4K, because I'm not your typical YouTuber. I'm not a tech guy. I'm not going to do reviews on lenses. I'm not going to reach out to companies and tell them to send me a camera to review it, because, even though I know how to use it and I know how it works now and I could actually teach somebody how to use it, I don't really know the Gerald Undone level technicalities of it. You know what I mean? And I feel like if you don't know that stuff, you should not be teaching it, unless you're really an expert. And, I know that a lot of YouTubers sadly put a lot of stuff out there when they really don't even know what they're talking about. And to me, that's kind of messed up. Like that's bad, because you could guide somebody in the wrong way and really hurt them in that way and set somebody back, or, you could even hurt somebody professionally in that way, So anyway, I started to gain some followers, but not a lot. I think for the first basically 4 years, I think I got up to like 325 subscribers, and I think I had 800 or 900 watch hours, and I was getting really frustrated because I was having no growth, and it was just making me angry that every time I shot a video that I thought was amazing, the more I was learning and I was creating these beautiful videos in my mind, I was getting no traction at all. And I was like, how does this work, you know? I started to get emails from people telling me that if I paid them, they could help me, because they were like, oh, you have such an amazing channel, but you know, you need to deal with your SEO and your thumbnail and your titles. And it was true. You know, I wasn't really dealing with that stuff, but I wasn't about paying somebody like $1,500 or $5,000 or whatever to like get, you know, subscribers, you know, and get some traction. So I don't know, I'm sure a lot of them were legitimate, but I just wasn't doing that, you know. But what I did decide to do was I decided to just do me, you know. And the one thing that I was doing on YouTube was I was keeping my videos really short, you know. I was keeping them less than, say, 20 minutes at the most, you know. And for me, that's hard, because nobody has ever, you know, said that I was somebody who knows how to tell a short story. I have never been accused of telling a story that's too short. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to approach this the way I approach my art, my theater work, you know, my filmmaking. I'm going to just make videos, and however long they are, that's what they're going to be. And I'm going to speak from the heart, and I'm just going to show people who I am, and I'm just going to be normal. You know, I'm just going to be me. And I'm going to speak about important issues that, you know, I want to talk about. And it's not always going to be just about filmmaking, but I am going to try to stay on this filmmaking thing because I am really interested in it, and I am a tech nerd. And I was a pro audio guy, and I was a beta tester for, you know, like Session 8 and Logic Pro and, you know, some real serious digital audio products. And so, because I came from the music business. And so I started to do videos that were like 45 minutes, 50 minutes. And all of a sudden, my channel started to gain real traction, you know. Not like, you know, Marcus Brownlee traction or, you know, like that, but not like, you know, Potato Jet, Danny Gewurz, Matty Hapoya traction, but, you know, rockwilk traction. Like, people started to come back and they started to respond in a more meaningful, genuine way, I guess because I was just being me, you know, being more normal, not trying to be a YouTuber. And all of a sudden, in 3 months, I went from 300 subscribers to 1,000. And I was like, yeah, I'm monetized. But then I realized, no, I'm not monetized, because I still need to get to 4,000 watch hours, and I was only at 2,800 at that point. And so I started to look at how much, you know, I had gained 2,000 watch hours. So I thought, you know what, this might happen by Thanksgiving. You know, if everything keeps going the way it's going, I'm going to get monetized by Thanksgiving. And today is November 25th. And it happens to be my niece's birthday, actually, who's in the Navy. She went to Annapolis. She was the leader of a battleship in the China Sea somewhere. And I guess now she's in danger of maybe losing her job because there's somebody who thinks that women should not serve in the military, but that's a whole nother issue. But today, I became monetized. I got past 4,000 watch hours. And I'm just like, I'm so honored by it and I'm humbled by it because, you know, there were many times where I was going to just stop doing it, you know what I mean? But because I didn't understand how it worked, you know, it didn't make sense to me, and I thought it was a scam, to be honest, sometimes, and I just didn't believe a lot of it, you know what I mean? Like, I thought people were lying. But then I realized, you know what, just do the work. Because the thing is, I enjoy doing this, you know. It's great practice for my filmmaking. It's great practice for me to just talk off the top of my head. I mean, I never script YouTube videos, you know. I mean, obviously, if I'm working in the theater, I write a proper script, I memorize every word, and every word on stage is scripted. 2.5 hours, over 200 pages scripted, everything. I never ad-lib. Yo. Okay, imagine when she was first placed in that orphanage, like the first day that she was left there. I mean, damn, who brought her there, right? And how did that person feel when they were like on their way home alone in their car, on a train or whatever, without this little girl? Like I'm saying, they just dropped this little 10-year-old innocent, vulnerable person off at that place. I mean, that had to be weird for that adult, right? Like whoever brought her there and then just dropped her off and turned around, left without her. That had to be weird, right? Maybe it didn't even happen like that. Like Like maybe somebody, meaning some stranger, just like shows up one day to come and get this little girl to take her away from her own home like that without this little girl even knowing what the hell is going on. I mean, it could have happened like all of that too. I mean, it's crazy. Like I don't know. I'm just saying, like that. Like that shit just hurts my heart, like really bad, like for real, like whether she was dropped off or picked up or whatever. That just hurts me, yo. But here at YouTube, I do ad lib, and I think it's really good for my brain, and I learn a lot from this, you know, and I enjoy it. I love working with different lenses, you know, like it's a very spiritual journey for me, you know, the lens process of, you know, dealing with your aperture and choosing what you want the frame to look like and how much of a depth of field you want to deal with and what you want in focus and what you don't want in focus and the different colors of these vintage lenses that I use and, you know, anamorphic lenses. And I love it so much. You know, it is very spiritual for me. And I happen to love my camera. I got this Panasonic S5 and I use it all manually. I never use autofocus. I mean, I'm not a photographer, I'm just a filmmaker, so I don't really need the autofocus, but I'm just so thrilled that I got here and so incredibly grateful to the people who seem to really come here every single time I put a video out. You know, it's like, it's something that makes me feel special, you know. It's really a similar feeling to when, you know, like every time I perform in a theater and I see people out in the audience, I just think to myself, like, please just let me have a beautiful shared experience with these people who are kind enough to take time out of their lives to come spend some time with me here in a theater, to spend their money and come look at one guy on stage telling them a story that I made up, that I created. I mean, that's just like such a privilege, you know. It's something that I never take for granted. And I feel the same way about this channel. Like I am just unbelievably honored that you would come here and take time to just look at me, you know, talk to you and share things that are important to me. And because, you know, I'll be honest with you, I don't really think about my audience when I'm making a video. Like what do people want? You know, like what are they going to be interested in? I only post things that are interesting to me. And the audience that I want is an audience that, you know, that I resonate with. You know, like if you feel what I'm talking about and how I present it, and, you know, as you get to know me, because I feel like I really share my genuine self with you. I'm very intimate here. You know, I'm very, very vulnerable. You know, I kind of put myself out there because that's how I am in the theater. That's how I am on stage. That's how I am in my movies, you know, or when I act for somebody else. Like, that's why people like my work, because they feel like they can feel me, you know, they get to know me. And so it is indeed a privilege that you would know all of that and still choose to be here, because it means, you know, you either like me or you respect me, or you know, there's just something about me that makes you want to come back. Like there's something of value here, you know, there's something of value. And, you know, I was just talking to a friend of mine, my friend April, who I'm actually going to help get her YouTube channel together. And she's this unbelievably gifted human being. You know, she does so many different things. And I met her from the adoption community. And she said to me, is everybody, what did she say? Everyone is made to be valued, or everybody is made to be meaningful, something like that. You know, we're all made to be meaningful, or we're all made to be valued, or whatever. I can't even remember the exact quote now, but we both come from the adoption community. That's how I met her. And, you know, I was fostered 3 times in my life before I was even 3 months old. And I have a lot of trauma in my body from that, you know, like I saw like something on social media the other day about this baby where they did an experiment where the baby's mother, this was a newborn baby, the baby's mother was engaging and kind of, you know, playing with the baby, and he was cooing and laughing and having fun with her and pointing at things and really engaged. And then they told her to not connect with him, to just look away, to just ignore him. And yo, this baby was bugging, like freaking out, and then just started to go crazy. You know, at first was doing all the same things, was looking at her and pointing at the same things, and as if he was saying, like, what's going on? We had this whole thing going on here, and now you're gone. Like, what happened? And he just freaked out. And then she engaged with him again, And you could tell that he like, it took him a while to like come back and be comfortable again. And then he was like so relieved that he just started sobbing, you know? And the funny thing is, I've experienced things like that in my life, you know, where I've had like disconnects with people, and I've had this anxiety that like just didn't even make sense because I knew it was the right thing. And then we'll get back together and I know it's the wrong thing, but I have this sense of relief, you know, like it's some kind of weird trauma. And I got over that many, many years ago, but I still have all kinds of other trauma from it. And so anyway, talking to April today, you know, it made me realize that, you know, relationships, that's the most important thing in my life. You know, my art, everybody thinks that, you know, nothing's more important to me than my art, my work, you know, that I don't want to have relationships, that I don't want to deal with anybody because I'm a loner, you know. But it's really more that it just takes so much to do what I do. You know, it's like takes so much time and effort and focus and solo time alone, you know what I mean, away from people. You know, obviously I'm a solo theater artist and a solo filmmaker. Like I have to spend so much time just doing things like memorizing a script or working on my blocking or my movement, you know, and in my filmmaking, I shoot everything by myself. I travel around a lot, you know. But at the end of the day, nothing means more to me than my relationships, you know, my friends, the people who I love, nothing, you know. And so I'm not going to sit here and say, I know any of you, you know, and I value the relationships here in the way that I value people who are in my life, who would show up at the hospital if I got hit by a truck or something like that. And it's weird, I can't believe I just said that because my biological mother died getting hit by a truck on 89th Street and Park Avenue, Manhattan, so that's kind of weird that I would go there. But anyway, I really do value this, you know, like there's something about it, you know, like it's just odd because I kind of hate social media. Excuse me. I don't like social media at all. I do it and I'm on it, but I don't like it. I think it brings out the ugliest in people, and I think it has really contributed to the slow destruction of society. That's how I feel about social media. And but there's something different about YouTube and the comments that I get and the exchanges. Like I always try to answer comments with everything, you know, like with respect, you know, and I'm genuinely interested. It's not like I'm doing it like to go out of my way to do it. Like I appreciate so much that you would take the time to comment on my channel. And so it's, you know, it's something that's real for me and genuine. And hold on one sec. Let me just check something. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm not going too long because there's a 30-minute limit on the S5 when I'm shooting in 4K. But I do value the relationships here because I do go back and forth with certain people. And actually some of the people here have wound up on my Patreon, which is an honor again. Like you totally honor me with that. And just coming here every time I post a video. I mean, I've been posting videos almost every day for the past month or so. And honestly, I was doing it for a while just to get my watch hours going. But I'm also doing it because I love it so much. And honestly, it's easy for me, you know, like even when I shoot a lot of B-roll and stuff, which I'm not doing with this video, but even when I do that, it's just something that comes naturally for me. I do it, it's not hard. Editing has become really easy for me. I've gotten into DaVinci Resolve to the point where I'm editing for other people now, making money doing that. And so it's not difficult for me, you know. It's the way I see the world, and it's fun. And there's nothing I would really rather be doing, you know. So I enjoy coming here all the time, but there will be times where I can't come here as often. Like, you know, I'm working on this script, and I'm writing every single day. And when I finish the script, I'll be shooting. And I'm sure when I'm shooting, I'm not going to be able to be here making YouTube videos every day. But when I can, I will. And I will even try to share that process with you. And I guess I'll finish the video with this. You know, now that I become monetized, I don't take this for granted. You know, like it's a great opportunity. Like I feel like it could give me so much freedom, you know. It could put me in a position where I could earn enough money to earn a good living here, contributing to these, you know, the people that come to my channel, you know, like offering something, which I'm all about that. And the other thing is this. I thought about this today. You know, I made a video yesterday about why would I put out my, you know, full-length feature film for free on YouTube, you know, because it's also at Vimeo on demand. You could also go pay for it. If you want to watch it with no commercials, go to Vimeo, you know, pay $3.99 and rent it, or $19.99 and buy it. But I put it here for free because I want it to be here for the people who are kind enough to come share with me. And I do look at this as a very unique kind of community, you know, and I just feel like it. I just think it's the right thing to do, and it makes me feel good. And the other thing is this. I hadn't really thought about this before, but I thought, you know what's really cool? This could be a place where I could have complete and total creative freedom. Like, you know, I have spent time in my career working with directors and producers and money people and all, you know, like people who want to inject themselves into my actual art. And that's not cool to me, you know. Like, I love to collaborate. You know, if I work with a dramaturge, like I have a friend named Karina who is this genius, you know, solo, you know, she's a theater artist, she's a teacher, she's an actor, she's a writer, she's everything. But for me, she is the highest level dramaturge, and, you know, not an easy one either, which is what I need, you know. So we have gone back and forth in the past. You know, I haven't been in contact with her now in quite a while, which hurts my soul. But I've learned so much from that woman because of our collaboration, you know. I had an amazing director named Stephen Bishop Seeley who I learned so much from. You know, he taught me how to be a theater artist. He taught me how to make a proper script. He taught me about all the language of the theater because I didn't go to theater school, you know. I worked with Reggie Gaines who, you know, our collaboration was a totally different kind, you know. But, you know, he's somebody who's worked at the highest level, and so just our conversations were always inspiring to me. And as much as he didn't really contribute much to my work, he contributed to me. And I believe, you know, being around somebody like him who's been in places that I've never been to makes me a better artist, you know. And just all the people that I know from, you know, from the business who I've performed with, and, you know, all the people in the poetry community and all the musicians that I came up with in the music business have all made me a better person and a better artist, you know. My friend Tango, incredible social activist, great poet, teacher, educator, you know, facilitator. Just people like that make me a better person, you know. And as he said to me once, in order to be a better artist, you got to become a better person. So that's why I'm here. And I'm going to look at this as great opportunity on so many levels, to make money, to continue to be able to do this, to make friends, you know, to have relationships that, who knows, you know, maybe I'll meet some of these people who I engage with here out in the real world at some point too. I'm open to that for sure, you know. And also maybe this is a creative space where I can put out full-length feature films like this and make enough money on YouTube where I don't have to deal with, you know, all the other, like, you know, I'm on like all these streaming services with my other film and not really making any money. So what's, you know, and they're interrupted with commercials, so what's the use, you know what I mean? Like, what's the big deal? When I could do the same thing here at YouTube and control the whole thing myself, you know? And then, if I can license a film to HBO, to Hulu, to Amazon, to Netflix, where they give me a significant amount of money up front, you know, then, of course, that's an amazing thing. But I'm all about the work. I'm all about just doing the work. That's why I'm here. That's who I am. That's what I'm about, you know. I am about the art, you know, and I'm about doing it with everything that I have, and I'm about disrupting people and making meaningful art, you know, being an activist with my art, speaking out on things, and taking difficult things and turning them into the most beautiful stories that I can possibly create. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. So anyway, thank you so much. You know, I feel like every YouTuber now, but how else can I say it? I'm so grateful, and I thank you so much for getting me to this place. And yeah, I'm going to take advantage of it, and I'm going to build from here. And I'm putting it out in the universe that I hope to get to the point where I make a video talking about how I bought a home because of my YouTube channel, and show you around and celebrate with everybody. That's how high I think sometimes, and that's what I'm thinking about. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, you know, I can't explain how deeply I am moved by this moment. I've worked really hard for this. It is not easy to get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours legitimately, organically, without gaming anything. 5 years. 5 years it took me. I know a lot of people say they did it in 60 days or 30 days. I don't know how to do that. I can't guide you on that. I can't help you there. But I can tell you that if you're diligent, if you're persistent, if you're consistent, and if you're genuine, you could do it, because I did it. 5 years. 60 months. Onward we go. And here's to a better world for all of us every day. See you in a minute. All right.